Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I am your host, Joe Zollo. It is week 2 of the NFL season, week 2 of the fantasy football season. Week 1 was, I feel like, it was week 1. There was some really good football, some really bad football, some surprising football, and of course, a few unfortunate injuries, as it might happen that way. Week 2 gearing up to be a good one as well. Some really good matchups for some really high-profile players and some sleeper guys to potentially look at getting in your lineup. We'll break it all down over the next hour. Let's get into it. Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I am your host, Joe Zollo. As always, Ryan, Josh, gentlemen, how was week 1?
Could have been better.
Definitely could have been better. I will say that I have somebody in my work league lost Dobbins and Aaron Rodgers after week 1.
Well, they deserve it.
He's kind of hurting, not going to lie.
Well, he deserves it for drafting both of them. So.
I told him I appreciate your $100 donation. That's what I told him.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a good week for me. I only lost in one league that I care about losing.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean it was one league, but yeah, felt good. TJ Watt was on the bench and still won by
we talked about that on Monday.
75. So I feel good. Caesar, he regrets everything.
I think that's a wonderful tagline to week 1, 2023. I regret everything.
I regret everything.
I like it.
Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, done after 4 snaps. Listen, social media is way too quick with it because literally seconds after he tears his Achilles, people at 2023 Aaron Rodgers highlight tape, and it was just him running out with the American flag.
I saw him on the Gone with 60 Seconds movie cover. That was great.
It was so good. Oh, it was so good. He is out, suffered an Achilles injury on Monday night. He is gone for the season. Ryan, I know you looked it up. Was there a prolific or a quarterback that came back later in his career from an Achilles injury?
There was one, and the Jets fans already know him. Vinny fucking Testaverde tore his Achilles at 35 and led the Jets to 2 playoff appearances upon his return.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So Aaron Rodgers is due for a playoff appearance for the Jets.
He's going to come back and add another year to his no.
How about this, though? How about this? Jet's going to jet. I mean, that's really what it felt like. The look on Robert Saleh's face.
Thank you.
Priceless.
Thank you, Joe.
Priceless.
Because the second I saw it, I wanted to screen grab and get on Twitter as fast as I could because I knew it was going to be the thing and people had already beat me to it. But Robert Saleh was all of us on Monday night.
Just dead inside. Just fully dead on the inside. And shout out Garrett Wilson for the touchdown throw because that was not on Zach Wilson. That was a great catch.
An incredible catch.
And
I was stuck in traffic crossing the bridge because there was a massive accident when I was coming home from work. And I'm like, I just have this game up on my phone because it's like standstill. And I just see this catch and I'm like, holy shit, he really caught that.
Shout out Xavier Gibson for the punt return.
That was a wild ending.
Yeah, he read the coverage perfectly.
Did you guys see that? What's the kid's name? Is it Jordan Whitehead for the Jets? Had a contract
incentive, and he hit it
on 3 picks for the season.
$250K in his contract.
So for those rushing to get Jordan Whitehead an IDP or thinking Jordan Whitehead's good, his incentive was 3 interceptions. Okay, he's not great. He's a good safety. He's not that good. Josh Allen just played with his eyes closed. I saw a meme. It was Josh Allen chucking the ball and said, "Fuck it, Jordan Whitehead's down there somewhere." Did you hear Jordan Whitehead was the 2nd leading receiver for the Jets? He was. He had the 2nd most catches.
And the Bills, I imagine.
Yeah, probably the Bills. Yeah, I would imagine. J.K. Dobbins also tore his Achilles. He's out for the season. Kenneth Gainwell has been ruled out tomorrow, so it's looking like a split backfield of DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny. Of course, unless Penny is a healthy scratch again. Aaron
I
Jones.
imagine he is this time, but
Yeah, but beware
I've
though.
seen crazier things.
Beware though. The Vikings held Rashad White to 22 rushing yards, so just beware on that.
It's because Rashad White sucks.
Aaron Jones is still being evaluated for his hamstring injury. As we know, that's about a 6 to 8 week injury in the NFL. Jacoby Myers is in concussion protocol, so we're just waiting at this point. Mark Andrews still not feeling well, did not practice Wednesday. Eckler also did not practice, ankle injury for him. Greg Dulcich, hamstring, expected to miss multiple weeks. What I'm saying, it's a 6 to 8 week injury in the NFL now. The hamstring is the new ACL. All right, just get used to it. Deontay Johnson expected to miss 4 weeks with a what? A hamstring injury, folks. It's the new ACL. All right, hamstring is the killer.
Dulcich not quite as important, but there are rumors Deontay Johnson goes to the IR. So.
If he's going to miss 4 weeks.
I mean, I was going to say, if he's going to miss 4 weeks, it makes sense.
Might as well.
He was outright dropped in one of my leagues.
Yeah. I'm waiting.
Bold. Upsides. Right. Oh, Ryan's is first. Oh, strange.
I told you we were going to flip this up.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, there's 2 people to flip it with. I'm obviously going last.
I made the thumb, Joe.
Yeah, you did make the thumbnail. You want to know what you also made? 0 wins last week in this category. So
thanks,
you laid a goose egg.
Thanks, Tyler Allgeier.
Yeah, thanks, Tyler Allgeier. Yeah. You want to know who's a 2 tutty special this week? Jamaal Williams. You want to know why? Because Tyler Allgeier did it against the same team last week.
There were 2 options. I didn't want to curse the other option.
What was the other option?
He means too much to me. I'm not saying it out loud.
What was the other option?
He means a lot to me and plays for the Detroit Lions.
Oh,
yeah,
Gibbies.
Can't curse him. So.
Oh, you know what? I'm playing against Jahmyr Gibbs this week, so Jahmyr Gibbs,
not Gibbs.
2 touchdowns.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Oh,
Gibbs means
Monty.
nothing to me.
Okay, fantastic. Then Monty. DeAndre Hopkins top 15 against the Chargers, really riding on how bad that Charger secondary is after last week. And staying on that same game on the other side of the football, Justin Herbert will be the quarterback 1 overall against the vaunted Tennessee Titans defense. Ryan, number 1 overall. I smell another 0-3 week coming for you on the upsides.
Hey, I'm gonna stay bold this whole season. If I go 0-4, 54, so be it. I don't think I will.
Be so impressive.
Tennessee just gave up 305 yards to Derek Carr, and Joe, you even brought this up previous on Monday. Derek Carr didn't even look good, dropping 305 out there. Nope. Justin Herbert's a better quarterback. Justin Herbert was the QB4 on like 235 yards last week. So he obviously added a rushing touchdown. Tennessee cannot cover wide receivers. Mike Williams should be healthy enough for this game. Keenan Allen's out there, Quentin Johnston, Joshua Palmer. They have plenty of weapons. And while some people are going to look at possibly losing Austin Eckler as a negative thing, I'm not so sure that doesn't mean they go out and throw the ball 50 times like we've been begging to see happen in this new Kellen Moore offense with Los Angeles. I think we're going to see Herbert sling it in a game that they need to win, and I think it's going to be a big game for him.
I love that you brought up Mike Williams because we'll talk about him just on the opposite segment for me because it'll be fun. I don't know if he's QB1 overall.
Anything else was a cop-out. He was QB4 last week, so I couldn't say anything else.
Yeah,
I had to do something here.
You had to go top 3, very minimum. Yeah. It's almost a guaranteed top 5 week. DeAndre Hopkins is interesting just because of how piss poor his quarterback situation is.
And I agree. And so that was my worry because I didn't know if I wanted to go with like Tannehill or Hopkins there. The one thing is the Chargers got beat by wide receivers, and it wasn't just Tyreek Hill last week. The Dolphins wide receivers combined for 21 catches, 375 yards, and then 3 touchdowns, obviously, to Tyreek Hill. There's really no other major threat. DeAndre Hopkins has already kind of established himself as the alpha. Ryan Tannehill just needs to figure out where the fuck he is on the field, which is obviously a Ryan Tannehill problem.
And against the Chargers, you're going against Derwin James for the tight end, so that's Chickasee McConkle is really irrelevant in that standpoint unless the Chargers decide that, it's time to you double team DeAndre Hopkins with Derwin James over the top. And then that leaves Chickasee Okonkwo on a slot corner, backup safety, linebacker, which he'll beat in coverage. But neither here.
I was really surprised they only threw the ball to Traylon Burks 3 times last week.
And Chig only twice.
Why did Nick Yeah, why did Nick Westbrook-Akine get 7 targets? That makes 0 sense.
Dog. Okay, first off, all right. Dog.
Stop.
Nick Westbrook-Akine, the GOAT. Josh, your picks. You were 1-2 last week, my friend. Join the club.
I was
also
so
1-2.
mad too because Calvin Ridley was wide receiver 6 and I said top 5.
Well, sucks to suck.
It's all Stephon Diggs' fault. That's who I blame because he's the one that knocked him out.
Stuck in there at the end.
Josh, it sucks to suck. Sorry about that, buddy. So his picks this week: Dameon Pierce, top 12 against Indianapolis. Deebo, top 15 against the Rams. AJ Brown, top 12 against Minnesota. Deebo, I mean, not very. He rips up the Rams defense consistently.
I mean, he scores 7 touchdowns in their past 7 regular season games. Or excuse me, in their past 7 games against the Rams. The Rams are 0-8 in their last 8 regular season games. Now, keep in mind, the one that they did win was in the playoffs en route to the Super Bowl.
Where it matters, bitch.
Yeah, basically.
Where it matters.
The one thing that I find interesting with Deebo, again, you know, everybody, we love Brandon Ayuk around here. We're saying it all off season. He is the 49ers wide receiver 1. Last week, Deebo still had a 25% target share.
Yeah,
this offense is literally 4 guys. It is Ayuk. It is Deebo. Kittle was at 21.4% target share. CMC 17.9%. Everybody else had a combined 2 targets. That's it.
Yeah.
So you basically pick your week, right? If they're able to get Deebo involved, especially running the football, and they did give him a couple runs this past week, there's opportunity for him to kind of vault up. But the one thing that we do know, the Rams came out scrappy. They came ready to play. They're going to come ready to play this week too. I just think the 49ers just have too much firepower. They really do. Yeah. And yeah, I'm in on Deebo being at least top 15 this week, even if Ayuk still soars above that. But I think there's plenty of opportunity for both those guys and CMC obviously to shine this week.
It's a team he owns, nobody to cover him. Dameon Pierce had a not so hot week against a notoriously very good defense in Baltimore.
So predictable.
Yeah, it was predictable, but also they didn't run it a lot, which was a little concerning. So you think that changes against Indianapolis, who I believe after this past week allows the 3rd most fantasy points to running backs?
According to the 33rd teams, the Edge tool, Indy currently sits at the 7th most fantasy points to wide receivers just through week 1, or excuse me, to running backs. Yeah. The plus side here for the Colts is that they allowed only 3.3 yards per carry to the Jags. But a lot of that was because Tank Bigsby, could not get going at all on the ground.
Not at all.
But he was able to punch in a short yardage touchdown. That's what Dameon Pierce does well. If the Texans can move the football against the Colts, it's going to set up Pierce for at least one short touchdown run. But I'm curious to see how much they look at the game plan from last week. And we harped on this, Ryan, during Monday's show. Why on earth did they throw the football 44 times when they were only down by 1 point heading into the half? Like, that's just egregious play calling, in my opinion. Now, again, it is a first-time play caller. You go back to the tape, you figure shit out. That's what good head coaches do and good coordinators do. So I'm curious to see how that shapes out because Dameon Pierce only got 43% of the rushing share, 47.8% of the rushing share, but he was the only running back to garner any targets. Colts gave up 6 targets, 5 receptions last week to the Jags. So there's overall opportunity here for Dameon Pierce to produce once this offense starts to figure shit out. And I think it can get going this week because there's not a real offensive threat on the Colts that can truly vault them 20 plus points out of the gate.
The one thing we noticed last week, we talked about this previously as well, was it took Travis Etienne into the second half to kind of get going. Houston needs to start with the run and stick with the run. You got to beat these guys down to free up Dameon Pierce for the longer and better runs in the second half. You can't have any of this shit where you go away from the run like they did last week. You have to stick with it, and that should be their game plan, hopefully.
Is there anything in the coordinator's head or potentially in D'Amico Ryan's head that he's kind of harping on, that you drafted this guy at number 2 and you drafted him over Anthony Richardson, who is presumably healthy for this game. I don't think there's anybody thinking he's not going to play. But let's, if he plays,
I believe he was back at practice today.
Yeah, he was. He didn't miss anything.
They've taken him off the injury report as of now.
So Anthony Richardson, let's just say he, maybe not as a passer, but he's playing well and their offense is moving with him at quarterback. Your offense is not. Is there any pressure to continue throwing the football and be like, hey, no, look, we made the right choice. It's CJ Stroud. We made the right choice.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but
Miko Ryans is also coming from the failed Trey Lance experiment. So I think he's not worried about proving you got the right guy. He saw what Brock Purdy did for that team. So.
Exactly.
Yep. All right. I was 1-2 last week, as mentioned. My 3 this week, DJ Moore, top 12 against Tampa Bay. Familiar opponent for him.
I say that's the one I want you to talk about, but keep going.
Yeah. James Cook, top 15 against Vegas. Was surprised at how much they used him. Really?
Yeah.
I was shocked. They used him out of the backfield, and he was very much their main focal point in the run game.
Say almost nothing for Damian Harris, which was Damian Harris, which was
literally nothing. And then Latavius Murray was there on like 2 plays.
Yeah.
I was going into this offseason with the prevailing thought, especially after I went through and did my rankings projections. James Cook was discount Jahmyr Gibbs. Same type of role. They were going to be very involved in the passing game. I didn't think we were going to see near as much of a rushing share with James Cook, but you were getting him 4 rounds after Jahmyr Gibbs.
I was going to say right now he's looking like discount Miles Sanders.
Right?
Even in that token, like, I watched a lot of Bills football because they're on national television. I'm a Patriots fan. I don't ever remember them dumping to running backs.
No.
So that
was a notorious Josh Allen thing, that it was going to be a problem with them. They didn't score touchdowns, which they fixed over the last couple of years, but they didn't score touchdowns and he didn't throw him the ball. That's why we avoided Bills running backs. So maybe this is a new team.
Yeah, and hey, Josh Allen reverted right back to year 1 where he was throwing 17.
Certainly did.
Yeah, someone's down there. So I was surprised how bad the Bills looked. I think a bright spot outside of Stephon Diggs, obviously a bright spot.
We knew he was going to do well.
But James Cook, a bright spot for fantasy managers. And then Jamar Chase, top 5 against Baltimore. Everyone calm down.
Bounce back. Yes.
This man owns the Ravens.
Yeah.
Owns the Ravens. But yeah, DJ Moore.
Yeah. How are you reconciling Justin Fields can't play quarterback with DJ Moore top 12?
Oh, 100%. Let me tell you. DJ Moore has never had a quarterback in his career. Still doesn't. But fun fact, Ryan, he has had double-digit fantasy points every single time he's played Tampa Bay, except his rookie season.
Interesting.
Which I believe was Cam Newton, his rookie season. Yes. So he Cam for a couple. So he Cam on the bad years, and then he had a mixture of Sam Darnold, PJ Walker. And yes, let me tell you, Justin Fields is a worse passer than all of them. And I stand by that statement. But he has owned Tampa Bay, and he's seen Carlton Davis every single year of his career and has owned Carlton Davis. Now, Tampa
I was going to say, they just gave up 150 yards to Justin Jefferson. It's not like they can't be thrown.
Oh, certainly.
No, God. Yeah. They can't cover. And Jordan Addison had a great day as well. They can't cover. Their strength lies in their front defense. 7. Yep. Their linebackers are absurd. It could arguably be the best linebacker tandem in the league in Levante David and Devin White. Very much showed out last week. Tryon Shoyinka, very underrated edge rusher. Vita Vea is a brick wall in terms of the run game. He's not a big guy in the passing game, but you still need 2 people to block him on any given play.
Yeah.
I am worried about this. I'm not going to say that I'm not, but I am starting him with the confidence that I get, like Deebo. He just owns the Rams. Like there's guys you just know.
Oh yeah, DK Metcalf last week against the Rams. Like if you know, you know.
you know like Tom Brady was 31-3 against the Bills. Don't care. He could have no legs and blind in his right eye. He's still dropping 45 points on that sorry ass franchise. That is like you just know. You just know.
Probably would have got it from that Achilles injury.
Yeah, probably. Brady ain't no
Damn,
bitch. No,
that's cold.
No. Brady ain't no bitch. I'm worried about it, but I do have confidence that his history with the team plays well. I don't think Chicago plays as poorly. They did have a tough matchup in week 1. I'm not the biggest Packers defense guy. I think they have a lot of holes on that team, but they also got up in that game and forced Chicago to throw. That's not their game. They need to be playing in a tight game, and Chicago was not playing in that basically the entire game. They were getting rolled from most of the game. So I think in this one, it's going to be a lot closer. Tampa does not have the offense to pull away, and Chicago has a decent defense. I just didn't think they put it all together in week 1. I think they'll have a much easier time against Tampa Bay this week. Downsides. Quiet in the comment section. That's okay though.
I was gonna say,
Downsides.
Yeah,
we're gonna fly through this. Ryan, congratulations. You had a winning record on the downsides, 2-1 last week. Congratulations. You nailed it. No Baltimore running back inside the top 20 against Cincinnati. Hayden Hurt outside the top 15 against the Saints. And the no tutty special, Garrett Wilson against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, that's less on Garrett Wilson and who he will be playing against.
Quite literally wrote, do I need to say more than Zach Wilson against Dallas?
Maybe because of Zach Wilson. But I think the interesting one here is, I'm not going to say the Baltimore running back one is really that interesting because Justice Hill's garbage.
Yeah.
And Cincinnati's run defense, as mentioned, when DJ Reader's in there, is good. Like we said last week, it's Nick Chubb. It doesn't fucking matter. Nick Chubb's still going to get his 5 yards.
So that's what I said is a lot of people are going to look at this one and see what Nick Chubb did, but don't look at what Nick Chubb did. Baltimore doesn't have Nick Chubb. No. Look at what Jerome Ford did at 2.4 yards per carry on equal carries to Nick Chubb. That's what you're going to get out of the Baltimore running back room this week.
Yeah. Hayden Hurt, I think, again, not everyone and their mother has Hayden Hurt, but is a viable streaming option that I guarantee you a lot of people were looking at. So you don't like him this week against New Orleans after Chig dropped a fat goose egg last week.
Yep. Hayden Hurt was tight end 2 last week. So that's why I felt it was okay to call him out on this list and then had to move him out of the top 15. And I might even go as far as say out of top 20, but for our little game here, I'll say 15. I mentioned this last week because I'm picking on the Saints here. I went and did even more digging. In the last 36 games played, the Saints have only given up 3 tight end touchdowns. That's going back to 2021. They've only given up 3 tight end touchdowns. They didn't allow a tight end reception last week. Now, Hayden Hurt is more important to the Panthers offense than Chigoziem Okonkwo is to the Tennessee Titans offense. I'm not saying he's going to flat out score nothing the way Chig did. He's not going to find the end zone again, which is going to keep him from hitting top 10. And then I don't know that he'll have enough receptions to continue to crack the top 15. This is more about the Saints defense for 3 consecutive seasons, probably further back than that. 3 consecutive seasons, they stopped the tight end. This is what they are good at. It's Patriots-esque when it comes to stopping that one position.
You want to know who that safety is covering them?
Oh,
Tyrann Mathieu.
I was going to say, Honey Badger.
Tyrann Mathieu, and then before that, they had Marcus Williams there.
I was going to say the guy who went to the Jets. I couldn't think of his damn name. Yep.
Nope, he went to Baltimore. Am I thinking of something? No, Marcus May came from the Jets to New Orleans.
That's right.
Marcus Williams went from the Saints
to
Baltimore. Marcus Williams, a dog, out. Sucks. But yeah, Hayden Hurt. The thing that could have really hurt you here is if Ryan Tannehill knew how to throw the football. Chigoziem Okonkwo had a free 55
easiest touchdown. I almost started crying. I thought it was a touchdown. I'm like, man, I can't get shit right this week. But thankfully, Ryan Tannehill all over that thing.
Oh my God. Easiest touchdown ever. And he overthrows him by, it wasn't even like fingertips, just missed him like 10 yards.
No, it was 7 over his head. And then I still think it was 2 yards in. Like he's missing everybody everywhere.
Sailed it. Josh, worst one in the downsides last week. You were 1-2. Darren Waller outside the top 12 at Arizona. Arizona, surprisingly, a decent week on defense last week. They put out a graphic touting that they're like the best defense in the NFL, and I just wanted to comment there. Didn't you lose? But CeeDee Lamb outside the top 24 against the Jets, presumably seeing Sauce Gardner for most of the day. Miles Sanders less than 50 rushing yards against the New Orleans Saints. Josh, I'll kind of let you take your pick here, but I think the juiciest one is Darren Waller against Arizona because they're presumably the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, here's the one thing I do know. Jonathan Gannon knows the Giants offense. He knows Brian Daboll. He called the Eagles defense playing against them, and they curb stomped them 3 times last year. I understand there was a lot more talent on that Eagles defense, but he put something together last week. I mean, again, it was against Sam Howell, and we all have opinions on that, but this offense is literally Darren Waller or bust. Guy's dealing with a hamstring injury that is the same hamstring injury from last year and is one wrong move away from a tweak that's going to sideline him 6 to 8 weeks.
It's 6 to 8 weeks, hamstring injury.
At this point, I don't know why you would feel comfortable starting Darren Waller at any point, because this Giants offense feels so predictable that any defensive coordinator can say, you know what? I'm just going to stick to this guy and they're not going to beat me. Like, none of the Washington weapons last week top 60 yards receiving or even rushing for that matter. So I don't know why you can look at the Giants as a whole and say, yeah, you know what? One of these guys can top 70 yards against Arizona. I don't see it. I really don't.
On the flip side of the ball, I really like the Giants defense this week.
Agreed.
Don't be scared of them. I will say I was contemplating putting CeeDee on here as well, but from watching the Jets, Sauce didn't really travel.
No, he doesn't. He's that Richard Sherman type, right? He's going to stay on one side of the field. That's his place.
Yeah. So
DJ Reed's no joke though. Not bad.
Against a top tier receiver, he's going to get cooked. Okay.
Look, they're going to move Lamb around. I get that. But the way that, look, how can you have any confidence in the Cowboys offense the way that they looked last week? Because it really wasn't the offense that put up 40 points. It was the defense.
I agree with you. I 100%. And this could be a week again where they play Zach Wilson. The offense might only need to score 7 points, and the score will still be 40-0. So that's very true. I'm hesitant to put any top receiver against the Jets on this list because he doesn't move. And any top tier receiver against DJ Reed is going to win. They're going to win. Now, Reed did make a couple good plays on Stephon Diggs, but they're going to win. And Stephon Diggs clearly did that. He even won a couple battles. Yeah, Diggs won. He even won a couple battles against Sauce. I think, I'm just saying, I don't love it.
No, it's risky. I get it. But again, this is the game that we play here. We're having fun with it. And, look, you're not sitting.
It's also fun to be right.
Yeah, you're not sitting CeeDee Lamb. And I get it. We are trying to be right. But again, like, even if he misses the top 24, that's still startable if he finishes 25 through 36. So all you're doing is just tempering expectations. But again, for me, this just boils down to the amount of pressure that the Jets front four can generate and how out of sync Dak Prescott looked last week. Like, he really did not look good. And I understand the conditions were very different. Maybe, they're different this week because they are back at home in Dallas, but that the Jets defense, they know what's on their shoulders. They know that for them to win games, they have to hold opponents under 17, 13 points. And just have to hope that Zach Wilson can get 7. A couple touchdowns and special teams can do, maybe another one. Like, they have to make plays. So they have to go into every single game with that mindset. And I'm telling you, the way that the Dallas Cowboys offense looked, it really did not look great. And I'm leaning on that. So,
okay.
So shocking to me to see them drop 40 and have much fantasy relevance outside of Tony Pollard.
Exactly.
That was it. Before we get into my downside, Caesar says drop Charbonnet for Allgeier. He has Kenneth Walker on his team.
They're kind of equal parts. I think Charbonnet's role grows, whereas I think Allgeier's role shrinks. So I'll hang on to the rising star.
Josh?
I have zero issue dropping Charbonnet for Tyler Allgeier. I understand that Allgeier's role is going to kind of shrink as the season goes on, but he's still going to remain relevant. He's still going to be a flex play. I'm not 100% convinced Charbonnet does anything this year. Unless there's an injury to Kenneth Walker. Straight up.
I like Allgeier. I still think he's going to be used more than we all are probably thinking, even 8 weeks down the road. I think their shares basically split, but it doesn't matter. The dude could have 7 carries a game. He might have 70 yards because he is so efficient behind that offensive line. So I do like that, and I also think he will still be in there on some goal line plays as well. He just knows how to find the end zone. Kane, in a tough spot, he's thin at running back. Would you guys start in a PPR? Roschon Johnson against Tampa Bay. Zach Moss against, who is Indy playing? I'm forgetting. In Houston. Jaylen Warren Monday night home against Cleveland. Tyjae Spears, he will see the Chargers this week. Before we get into the second question, Ryan.
It's down to Warren or Roschon for me. Spears' snap count was appealing. While the Browns are a tough defense, Warren is getting work. So I'm going to lean on the guy who is probably going to get volume based on what we've seen and go with Jaylen Warren.
Josh.
I'm going to go Roschon. It's the passing work to me. I don't think any of the Bears running backs are going to generate more than 30 rushing yards at any point, just because that defensive front for Tampa is legit. But if they're going to they seem to bring Roschon in when they're playing catch up, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that the Bucs are going to shoot out to a crazy big lead, but if it's going to be close, and they're going to put Johnson in those types of third down situations where he needs to be on the field. And if Fields has to dump it off or get rid of it quickly, Roschon's going to be the guy. And I think there's volume there for the targets, especially in PPR, because none of these other 3 excite me when it comes to that.
If I knew Zach Moss was the lead guy, this is Zach Moss. I
agree.
But I just don't think that that's the case. So
I will go Roschon Johnson. I honestly flip a coin between him and Warren. Just flip a coin.
That's where I am as well.
Yeah, flip a coin.
Unless you start hearing, follow the Colts beat writers. If you start hearing some shit that, they want to give, again, I like to lean on past performance. Houston just gave up 3 RB touchdowns. Indianapolis might not score. That could be all Anthony Richardson this week.
Zach Moss is far and away the best running back they have.
Yeah,
on their run
off of a broken arm.
Yeah, it's not saying much, but he's far and away their best running back. You just don't know how much they're going to get him involved. Last one before we get into my downsides. Rate the trade. Molo gets, I imagine, Sam LaPorta, Aaron Jones, and A.J. Dillon.
So the Green Bay backfield. That'll make sense here in a second. So Sam LaPorta in the Green Bay backfield.
And he will trade Dak Prescott, both Saints running backs, which would be Kamara and Jamaal Williams, and Gus Edwards. So this would really help if I knew who your quarterback was. But I would say I would rather have the Aaron Jones side of the trade.
That's what I was going to say too. Give me LaPorta in the Green Bay backfield if you don't need Dak Prescott. So the Green Bay backfield, the New Orleans backfield, interchangeable-esque unless Aaron Jones is 100% healthy and then he's just the best of this bunch. So
I was going to say, and Aaron Jones is a much better runner in between the tackles than Alvin Kamara is.
A.J. Dillon is injury insurance at this point. He is slow and just not good.
You'd rather have A.J. Dillon instead of Jamaal Williams for injury insurance, just based off of situation, offensive prowess, offensive line, in my opinion, and play calling. So, Josh?
At the end of the day, I just want the best player in this deal, and that's Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones.
Yeah. I imagine you have a good quarterback. That's
I was going to say, yeah, if you're willing to trade Dak, you probably have one of the top 6-7 guys.
Well, at this point, after seeing Dak last week, maybe he just wants to fucking stream the position.
Yes. Oh, I forgot to get to his. Okay, Kane, I apologize. I forgot to get to your second question. Okay. I forgot about that before I get into my downsides. Would you drop any off that running back list for Jake Ferguson? Mark Andrews looks to be trending towards playing, but don't have a backup. I picked up Jake Ferguson in every league I possibly could because I had Juwan Johnson. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Jake Ferguson, Juwan Johnson, they kind of seem like the same person, except Jake Ferguson actually is getting thrown the football. Yeah. So
I was going to say, you love the fact that he was getting targeted, but he wasn't catching shit on Sunday night.
That's how I was gonna. Tight ends
Bad
are
conditions is what I'm
interchangeable.
attributing that to,
Yeah.
and the offense looked like shit. So
I just
He'll
don't
be
see the
fine.
point of rostering a backup tight end if you know your guy's playing. I had Travis Kelce last week. I cut all of my backup tight ends this week, and I will sign somebody again on Sunday if I need to. I'm not fretting over like I have to have Jake Ferguson. I have to have Luke Musgrave. Those guys are out there, plain and simple. I think last week's tight end one is still my stream of the week because nobody is picking him up off of waivers. So
there you go.
they're out there.
And Molo just added in that it's a 2 QB sleeper league, and he has Goff and Stafford. So yes.
No.
Yeah.
Do not
you
trade
hang
your
on
second.
to-
Don't trade quarterback
your-
depth for anything. No.
Oh, okay.
We hoard quarterbacks around here in Superflex and 2 quarterbacks. So
Yeah.
Molo, I don't care. You're never starting Dak over those guys unless Stafford gets hurt. So
the way it looked, yeah, Stafford looked slinging it.
yeah,
that was
gunslinger.
impressive.
Welcome back. All right, my downsides. I will continue with the trend that rookie, he's close enough, or first-time quarterbacks playing in Denver are absolute dog shit, and Sam Howell will be outside the top 25 against Denver. I wasn't bold enough to say top 30 because that's basically putting him as 1, if not 2, in terms of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't think he's that bad. I think there are worse quarterbacks in the NFL that will amass that, but he will have a terrible week in Denver, in my opinion. Kirk Cousins, the man, the myth, the legend. Less than 8 points against Philadelphia. God, that's going to be great. Primetime Kirk, Thursday night. Why'd they have to do it to him in back-to-back years? They put him back-to-back years, week 2 in Philadelphia. Why you got to do that to the man? All right? He's just a guy. He looked bad against Tampa.
But volume got him there. And I've been saying this all year, especially
care.
after seeing the Chargers now. I think Minnesota leads the league in passing this year.
Potentially, because they're not going to be able to run the football.
Exactly. Because
But-
Alexander Madison is mid.
But Kirk Cousins also might get sacked like 7 times and have like 80% of his passes hurried.
Yeah.
I'm going to shock you guys with my bold prediction from this game.
Ooh.
Go ahead.
I think Philly loses this game.
Really?
No.
I do.
No.
I do. I was preaching this all off season. We were the luckiest team in the NFL last year when it came to injuries. What happened? We've already lost our starting safety who's out this week. Our presumably starting running back is out this week. And our starting middle linebacker, Nakobe Dean, has a boot on his foot, and he just put on IR. He's out the next 4 weeks. And our starting corner, James Bradbury, is out with a concussion.
I was going to say, my only
You still have
issue
Barry
is...
Slay? You still have Fletcher
We
Cox?
don't have any other safeties in that defensive backfield.
You still have Jordan Davis? You still have
The running
Jalen
They
game,
Carter?
yeah.
But the Vikings also have no defense. Weapon for weapon, I'm taking the Eagles every time. A.J. Brown, I meant to bring this up when we were talking about your upside. When I was doing my weekly rankings, A.J. Brown's my number 1 wide receiver this week. I think he feasts. So.
Oh, yeah, he will. He will,
Okay.
100%. I
This is
agree.
not even a
The
question.
passing game will be fine, but again, we're still working in 2 new play callers. It's a short week. This team looked like dog shit last week.
You're overthinking it.
Against
Maybe I am, and that's
Belichick.
fine. But
Yeah.
Thursday
You're-
prime time is not the same as Monday night prime time.
That is where I'll give you this, because then, Josh, you've been harping on the new coordinator thing for a little bit, and now you're going new coordinator on a short week as well. So
Kirk Cousins in primetime. What more needs to be said?
We do believe in those sorts of things here.
Yeah. And my last one, Mike Williams outside of the top 34 in Tennessee. Oh, Kirk Cousins said less than 8 points. I'm sorry if that wasn't in there. But Mike Williams outside the top 34. Yeah, less than 8 points.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I didn't even see that on the show sheet. That's crazy.
Kirk Cousins less than 8 points.
Whew. Well, we've talked about that one, but I need to hear how Mike Williams is the 1 wide receiver Tennessee.
You want to know why? You want to know
Unless
why?
it's his hamstring that's going to stop him.
Probably. Honestly, that's what I'm betting on.
I
Is that he will probably pull something and be out for the game. But it always feels like there's these games with Mike Williams that he is like, this is the perfect situation for him to explode against a terrible defense. Yes, it's on the road, but that doesn't matter. It'll be nice weather in Nashville. It just feels like the perfect time for Mike Williams to do it. And we've seen this before. A prime Mike Williams game, 2 for 24. The only team I will say at the end of the time, I'll put Mike Williams as a wide receiver 1 for every week he plays in Kansas City. Not at home against Kansas City, in Kansas City. That's the one time I will give Mike Williams his credit or his next contract year. Because outside of his contract year,
you did send that text immediately.
Outside of his contract year, he has never put together a full season, and he's had blips on the radar for his games.
Yeah.
You can't tell me I'm wrong. You can't, because there are so many games you can look at last year where Mike Williams was supposed to be primed. No Keenan Allen. He was primed. He's going to have
2 for 17.
What the fuck? No Keenan Allen. You go 2 for 17? Josh Palmer why do you think I've been saying Josh Palmer is better than Mike Williams in certain situations? Because this motherfucker is open and isn't a bitch. Like, Mike Williams doesn't have a competitive spirit in him sometimes. Which, granted, he went to Clemson. You don't need to play 11 of the 13 games that you play every
And you're not
year.
wrong, but he also hurts himself making such ballsy catches. That's not a guy who just gives. I don't know. I think you're completely wrong on this one.
Clearly, you think Justin Herbert's the QB1 overall this week.
Defending my guy.
I'm out on Mike Williams. Hardcore out on Mike Williams. See ya. Okay, some questions. Full PPR from DTR 1993, 12-man league. Waddle, I imagine Christian Watson, Zay Jones, Jordan Addison, and Treylon Burks. With Watson and Waddle listed as questionable, would you make any adjustments before Thursday?
With Josh talking about these injuries, I know Joe's down. Joe thinks Kirk Cousins is only going to score 8 points. I wouldn't mind having Jordan Addison in my lineup, but if you can only start 2, I would. I mean, it's sounding a lot like Watson is not going to play again. I think Waddle is going to be fine, though.
For the record, quarterbacks can have terrible games, and receivers in fantasy can have really good days. So
if you can only start 2, I might get Addison into my lineup before Thursday with the expectation that I don't have Christian Watson.
Josh.
I mean, definitely Waddle. If Watson plays, it's him.
He has to choose before Thursday.
We'll get to my prop, but I do like Jordan Addison this week. If he's gonna see the younger kids on the opposite side of Darius Slay, give me all the Jordan Addison this week, especially with no back safety help because our safety is hot.
Say, Josh, you mentioned if it's Watson, but he has to choose before Thursday is the issue. So
I'm fine with that.
I would roll with Addison.
Yeah,
I'm fine with Addison if you want to make that move. I'm not in on Christian Watson. Keep Jaylen Waddle. If not, I think Zay Jones has
Zay Jones is that guy.
I think Zay Jones has a very good week against Kansas City. Detroit spread it out against them.
Yes, they did.
For as bad Marvin Jones looked, he was getting open by a lot, and he was getting looks. Goff either missed him or Marvin Jones honestly just looked terrible. He had a couple bad drops in that game. But Marvin Jones, their third receiver, was open a lot. Yeah. And Zay Jones clearly has the eye of Trevor Lawrence. I think Christian Kirk is a bounce back game as well. But they're going to need to throw to stay in this game. I think Zay Jones has a good week. So I would go Zay Jones and Jaylen Waddle. If you want the 100% assurance, go Jordan Addison. And then if Waddle somehow is out, then you can throw in a Zay Jones. But I would go Zay Jones and Jaylen Waddle. I think Waddle should be fine this week.
Yeah,
I'm not worried about that. Benji's start 3 wide receivers full PPR. Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams. Holy shit. Calvin Ridley.
I see why you have trouble having to choose who to bench.
Can I ask, who are your running backs? Because I just want to know. I just want to know. But, man, I'm not going to lie. I'm so tempted to sit Justin Jefferson, but you're really stupid if you do that. Because 3 best matchups, Ridley, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, right? 3 best matchups. Buffalo looks really bad on defense. Tre'Davious White is washed up, and that is who Devontae Adams is going to see. So unless you really believe in that Bills front seven, which did look pretty good, their pass rush looked solid, getting to Jimmy Garoppolo, Adams should have a great week, especially if Myers doesn't play. CeeDee Lamb, let's just say he's on the opposite side of Sauce 30% of the time. Still should look good. Calvin Ridley, dogged up in week 1.
Yeah.
Jefferson obviously looked good, but look back to last year when he played Slay. It was not pretty. So I think this question is being asked to the fact of, do I sit Justin Jefferson? Because I don't think this question is asked if he's sitting Lamb or Devontae Adams.
There's no wrong answer here. These are all on. I'm looking at my weekly rankings right now. They're all top 8 guys. Like there's no wrong answer.
This is incredible. He's in a 10-man league. He has these receivers.
Yeah,
his
he
running backs
really
are
went.
dogs.
He has
Yeah.
if Jonathan Taylor comes back, he has Ramondre, Jonathan Taylor, and these 4 guys. Madison
He
and
definitely got
Dalvin
some
Cook.
value in this draft. I like it.
Yeah, great value.
If I'm sitting any, I'm sitting Calvin Ridley just in the worry that it's a Christian Kirk bounce back game. That's me.
Josh.
I'm sitting Lamb. I don't trust Dak.
I
got to stay on brand. He was my downside pick. So
I am going on the fact that I do think Minnesota repeats what they did last year in Philly. And I would sit Justin Jefferson. Because in my opinion, the worst that would happen is Calvin
I really
Ridley.
hope somebody doesn't clip that. Literally just I would sit Justin Jefferson and you're going to get so fucking roasted.
I would sit Justin Jefferson against Philadelphia this week because I do think Kirk is going to have a tough time against that front seven. And Justin Jefferson is not seeing Carlton Davis. Okay. He is seeing arguably the best corner in the NFL, Darius Slay.
Slay is not going to shut him down.
I don't think Slay shuts him down either, but I don't think Jefferson finds the end zone.
I mean, that's fair. Jefferson
I think
rarely ever finds the end zone.
I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm probably going to be wrong, but I am one of the only guys that will sit his first or second round picks. I sat Ramondre last week and it paid off.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to go on that fact that I think you sit Justin Jefferson here. Kane, Woods or Dotson this week? Robert Woods, how about a week he had last week? Not too shabby.
That target volume, yeah.
Yeah, not too shabby. Jahan Dotson, obviously not a great week. Commanders go into Denver. Houston will see Indianapolis at home. I'm going Robert Woods here.
Ooh, I am certainly going to go Jahan Dotson. We saw, obviously, Jahan Dotson's not on Devontae Adams level, but I could say he's on Jacoby Myers level, and Jacoby Myers had a hell of a game. So I think Washington's going to be fine against those Denver corners.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm
at. Yeah, that's a very good point. It's not the corners. It's the quarterback.
The quarterback.
No, I agree. It's the quarterback. I mean, all 3 of the Washington receivers got run last week, right?
Yeah.
The one thing that we noticed with the Raiders playing the Broncos is while Devontae Adams did just fine, that's Devontae Adams. Terry McLaurin is not Devontae Adams. And I think some quarterbacks, when they see their stud wide receivers going against Patrick Surtain, they're going to start kind of throwing a different direction. Howell has that level of rapport with Dotson, and I feel like there's a lot more of a comfort level there. Robert Woods did just fine. But when you look at the first read percent with CJ Stroud, that all was Nico Collins. So, I mean, you're still talking about 2 number 2s here. I'm going to take the guy who I feel like has more upside, and that's Dotson.
I'm very worried about Sam Howell in his first start in
He looked
Denver.
so bad. He looked flustered and panicked and bad mechanics and all the reasons.
And for how bad Denver as a team looked, they only allowed 17 points against an offense that is way better than the Washington offense. So I don't like it. I'm also not like, oh, Robert Woods, but he did get a lot of volume in Indy's defense, as we saw last week. Not great. I don't know how to say the name. Molo. Traded Garrett Wilson for Mostert. Okay, so I think you hit the panic button.
Yes.
A little too hard. And now, look, I don't I'm going to say, I'm not disagreeing that, maybe people should shop Garrett Wilson for the fact that he has no quarterback now.
Yeah.
But you traded, I'm going to guess, your third or fourth round pick, maybe second. Yeah, some leagues go in second. I saw him a lot in the third for me. But yeah, probably a second round pick for a guy who was picked up on waivers probably.
Yeah, or 10th round.
Yeah, or a late guy. So learning lesson, like lesson learned, get a better guy for Garrett Wilson.
Don't take the first offer that comes to mind. And then it's a bad trade. Raheem Mostert's job is on a short leash with his own injury history, with Jeff Wilson coming off of IR, with Devin Achane having such a high draft capital. There's so much that could go wrong for Raheem Mostert. So that's the best advice I could take, is don't take the first offer that you get on a trade like that.
He wanted more running back depth. He only had 3 running backs.
And that's fair. We're a show about running back depth. At least Joe and I certainly are. Josh is usually with us on that. This ain't the right running back depth.
Correct. Yeah. And that's what I would boil down to. Like, I don't want to sit here and be like, that was the dumbest freaking trade. Like, especially for newer viewers, like we try to ease people in, but at the end of the day, we're going to shoot straight. This is a deal that you do not make.
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson, even on with a bad quarterback, he's like, I mean, we did the math and I wrote about it yesterday when I dropped my Aaron Rodgers injury reaction piece. Garrett Wilson with Zach Wilson last year was barely a top 50 wide receiver. So again, I understand the hesitation. I get it. But he was still like, there's a maturation. There's a growth, right? Like, still saw the most target volume. He was at 23.8% target share just in that week. And he had Zach Wilson the entire game. This is just going to boil down to Zach Wilson needing to realize, fuck it, Garrett Wilson is down there somewhere. And I still think that's worth a top 24 wide receiver finish. And that is still light years ahead of where Raheem Mostert will finish at the running back position this year.
It's rough trade.
Yeah, very well said. Well said. There you go. All right, Ryan, stream of the week. 1 minute.
All right, here we go. Week 2 streams of the week, all available in more than 50% of ESPN leagues after waivers have run. We're going to go with Jared Goff at quarterback. He's at home against Seattle. Goff threw 17 more touchdowns at home than on the road last year, and Seattle just gave up 334 yards to Matt Stafford. Goff dropped 16 on Kansas City, throwing 2 more touchdowns. Everybody's happy. We're going to go ahead and grab Hunter Henry at tight end, taking on the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins just gave up a ton of points to the Chargers, but more importantly, gave up 5 catches for 42 yards and a touchdown to the Charger tight ends. That sounds a lot like what Hunter Henry did to be the overall tight end 1 last week. Let's do it again in week 2. And on defense, we're going to go Tampa Bay taking on Chicago. Justin Fields still cannot throw the ball. Tampa Bay very good against the run, only gave up 41 rushing yards last week. Green Bay was the defense 4 taking on Chicago with 4 sacks, 2 takeaways, and 1 touchdown. I think Tampa Bay can match that. Those are the week 2 streams of the week. Full article tomorrow.
Ryan, I'm mad at you. You're big stats guy, and you brought up Jared Goff's home road touchdown splits, but you didn't bring up that Jared Goff had his most passing yards, most touchdowns in a game last season against Seattle.
I had to boil everything down to a minute. I probably should have went with that instead of the home away splits. So I was trying to tie
you
in.
win some, you lose some.
I was trying to tie in that he was going to throw 2 more touchdowns this week.
That's all right, Ryan. You can write about that part of it tomorrow.
Silly boy. All right, my P corner. Welcome. Okay. My play fade against for the Patriots against Miami this week. Pleasantly surprised with how it played out for fantasy reasons. Was not happy with how they looked on the field for the most part, but it's about fucking time Kendrick Bourne gets some run and some respect, because for the last 2 seasons I've been yelling at my TV to put this guy in the game because he's the best receiver we have. Very clearly showed it out. I think Max sticks with him. I think Kendrick Bourne is very far and away the best receiver on this team. I think Hunter Henry will continue to probably be the second target hog. Once he gets more comfortable with Gesicki, you'll probably see 2A, 2B at that point. But I do think Hunter Henry for the time being is going to stay in that firm 2 spot. Kendrick Bourne should be a target hog in this offense because he can go everywhere on the field and he's open a lot of the time. Demario Douglas will be a deep guy. Underneath, Booty is going to be a possession guy. Juju Smith-Schuster can go kick rocks and go make TikToks. He's done. And the reason I have...
Hold on. Kick rocks and make TikToks. Joe, that's some poetic shit right there.
Thank you. And all off the dome. Yeah, just all off the noggin. And I put Devontae Parker as my fade here. I don't know if he'll play this week. I know he's on the injury report, so this obviously may be null and void. But if he does play, I don't want people to be scared that Devontae Parker is in the game and think, oh, shit, I can't play Kendrick Bourne, or, oh, crap, that's going to hurt my Hunter Henry shares. Devontae Parker couldn't play for the Dolphins because he couldn't beat Xavier Howard in practice. Now he has to play him in a game. Devontae Parker is not good. All you have to do, and the Dolphins know, all you have to do is press Devontae Parker and he's out of the game. If you play off coverage on Devontae Parker, he's a top 5 receiver in the NFL. But if you press him, he's done. So the Dolphins know that. They had him on their team for 5 years. So you play press coverage on Parker, he's toast. I don't like him. Don't be scared if Devontae Parker is active. Please, still, God, start Kendrick Bourne. This team is going to need to throw to stay in the game. Their defense and their front 7 looked very good last week. Christian Gonzalez is still coming into the NFL unless they're running high-low on Tyreek Hill the whole game, which they very well might. They did keep him somewhat in check throughout last season. But Jalen Waddle is still there. So if Jalen Waddle is going to see one-on-one, if Waddle's injured, I feel a lot better about this game for the Patriots. But I don't think he will be. Don't be worried about Devontae Parker. Please start Kendrick Bourne. He'll be great this year. He'll be great this week. Props. Both of you were goose eggs last week on the props. Good job. Jordan Addison, Josh, you have him over 39.5 receiving yards. I very well see that. That still plays into my Kirk Cousins. That's
why I was like, yeah, you kidding me?
That's still if he has
2 bad safeties and a young undrafted free agent from last year starting corner. Yeah, give me all the Jordan Addison this week.
Hey, Jordan Addison could have 50 yards receiving. That's 2 points for Kirk Cousins. So that's all I care about. And then Ryan, you have Mr. Montgomery, not just a rushing touchdown, any touchdown.
Yeah, I was like, free money.
Oh, well, there's the free money curse, folks. Bet the under on David Montgomery.
Seattle gave up 3 RB touchdowns last week. Monty's getting 1 or 2.
Yep, David Montgomery over half of any touchdown, not just a rushing touchdown, could be through the air as well. One more question to round it out from Kane. Traded Tyreek Hill, James Cook, and Jerry Jeudy for Josh Allen, A.J. Brown, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Thoughts there? So you're looking at A.J. for Tyreek Hill, Amon-Ra for Jeudy, Josh Allen for James Cook. I mean, it seems pretty even on both sides. I'd rather the Amon-Ra side.
I think you're going to cry every time you see Tyreek Hill do what he did last week. It's not a bad trade, but Tyreek Hill is certainly the best player in this trade. I guess I would need to know who your quarterback was. I'm probably taking the side on the right. It's just hard to move on from Tyreek Hill.
I get it's hard to move on from Tyreek Hill. You're giving up a top 2 to 3 wide receiver, but you're getting 2 top 7 wide receivers.
Yeah.
And a top 2 quarterback. Like, This isn't even a question for me. Give me the Allen side on this all day.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah.
He has Deshaun Watson.
He has Deshaun Watson. Yeah. Great job. Go get Josh Allen. Great job. One last one from Lex. Plant some trees. Oh, get it? Because her name's Lex and she lets plants. Get it? What's up? Anthony Richardson or Deshaun Watson, the aforementioned this week? I'm going Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, Steelers defense should smack Deshaun Watson back to reality.
Josh.
A-Rich.
Okay, Anthony Richardson. Cameron, could you please help me out with the RB2 wide receiver 2 flex for week 2? For those just joining, we do start at 7 p.m. Eastern. We wrap up in an hour. So make sure to come a little earlier next week. We're flying through this.
Hit subscribe so you get notified.
Yes. Yeah. Well, PPR, Zay Flowers, Drake London, Zay Jones, Elijah Moore, Javonte Williams, Brian Robinson. He needs an RB2, a wide receiver 2, and a flex. So let's start with the running back. Javonte Williams or Brian Robinson. Ryan.
Hate both options, but I'll go Javonte Williams.
Josh.
RB2.
Same game.
Yeah, Javonte.
I will go Javonte as well. I think he has more upside in the passing game. For your wide receiver 2 and your flex, Zay Flowers, Drake London, Zay Jones, Elijah Moore, Ryan.
Give me both Zays.
Okay, Josh.
Correct. Flowers and Jones.
Yeah, Drake London is very far on the out right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, Zay Flowers and Zay Jones. And from Evan, with Gainwell out and potentially Eckler out, who would you start, Swift or Josh Kelly? It's a half-point PPR. Ryan.
I'll take Swift. Josh Kelly's had years to prove it and couldn't do it.
Josh.
Correct. Swift.
Yeah, the only thing you're really worried about with Swift is, 1, if he goes out with an injury, or 2, if Rashad Penny gets more run than one would anticipate. But this really shouldn't be a question in terms of skill. It is DeAndre Swift by a mile. And that Minnesota defense, we keep talking about it, is terrible. So Kelly it is enticing to start Kelly this week. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But DeAndre Swift, yeah. And from Raymond, start 2 between these receivers. You got Mike Evans, a fly in my face, Puka Nacua, and Mike Williams. You know my 2 answers, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm benching Mike Williams on this one. Give me Evans and Puka.
Josh.
Yeah, I'll sit Evans.
Okay, fair. I was surprised and pleasantly surprised at how much Baker did want to get the ball to Evans.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. Evans with another just critical drop, hit him right in the hands. I do not know what is up with Mike Evans.
Yeah.
And
Raymond, I believe you were a little late. I don't like Mike Williams at all this week. I feel like this is just a Mike Williams letdown week like he's done before. For those who picked up Puka and might be a little scared, I feel confident my receiver options over him, but don't be scared. We talk about this all the time. Yes, San Francisco has probably the best defense in the NFL.
Give up wide receiver.
They have a terrible secondary. So don't be worried. Puka will be
And Stafford gets rid of the ball quickly. So
Yes.
I'm not as worried about, plays not developing.
And when Matt Stafford likes you, it's like when Aaron Rodgers likes you.
I was just going to say,
You're the guy.
Matt Stafford is looking at Puka Nacua and seeing Cooper Kupp right now.
Yes.
So.
Like, you're the guy if you are in Matt Stafford's eye. Like, you're that guy. So, yeah, Puka, for me, Mike Evans. I know Josh said bench Evans, but you got 2 for Evans, 1 for Mike Williams. Everyone's for Puka. I mean, at this point, yes, it's only been 1 week. Play him till he proves you wrong. Like,
exactly. At least 4 weeks. Three more.
Yeah, at least 4 weeks. All right. That is all, folks. Don't get too cute tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern on Thursday. Sneaky Flex Thursday nights at 6:30 with Rowan and Maisie. DFS Academy Friday mornings at 9. Starts at different day. I won't be there this week. I'm getting paid to fly a drone. A lot of money, so I won't be there. But Faith will be there.
Don't worry, I got good guests next week.
Yeah, of course you do, because I always miss the good guests. I appreciate that. But all your start sit questions on Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern. I'm normally there every week. I bring a lot of the entertainment. But Michael Sicoli and Joel Worth and Dynasty After Party Sunday nights at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. So in between that weird lull, in between, the end of the 4 o'clock games, the beginning of Sunday Night Football, get your Dynasty stuff going. Sunday night, 7:30. Mondays, Hangxiety. Ryan and Josh, Mondays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Articles all on the website. You can find them at clubfantasyffl.com. The URL is clubfantasyffl.com. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at clubfantasyffl. Thank you to a lot of new faces that we saw tonight.
So many.
Yeah, so many. Thank you all for showing up, asking questions, subscribing. Eric's, I see you in here. And yes,
I answered
Josh,
it in the chat for him.
I saw you respond. Yes, both aren't great. Javonte Williams is your guy in this situation. Just look at what Ramondre did last week, and Ramondre is about 1 million times better than Alexander Mattison. Always remember, defense wins championships. Offense wins fantasy football. We will see you next week.